Hey guys, in this video I will show you some simple tips and tricks with Deadlock, and we'll start right here on Ascent when you are attacking with his first ability, Gravnet, which you can purchase for 200. So, how I would use it when you are attacking on A, firstly and the most simple one would be to take control of the A main, where you can use your utility by simply throwing it off like this, so that way it lands right here, and if there's anyone trying to be waiting for you with a charge or something like that, in this radius he's gonna get caught in it, and you have the chance to get advantage of him, and he would usually just simply peek back and not trying to go for the fight since he's only crouching. Or you can do this, you can go into this corner, stand right here and place your crosshair on this highest spike, as you can see. Place there your crosshair on the tip of it and throw there your Gravnet. And as you can see, it's gonna land perfectly behind the generator. That way if there's anyone, it's gonna get him and it will go even under heaven. Another lineup that might be useful would be pretty much this one. You just wanna line up this wall, the right side of it with this right side of this box, so it should look like this. To simply run forward, you wanna place your cursor in this side, run forward, jump and throw it. And as you can see, it's gonna land usually behind these dices. Just simply run forward, throw it. You don't have to even jump. If you are not jumping, just simply aim a little bit higher and it's still gonna land right here. On mid, you can do something very similar. If you are pushing here and you wanna block off short, just simply place your crosshair where this spot is. You can, for example, ping it on the map, so that way you know where to aim. Move your crosshair up, run forward and simply throw it. And as you can see, it's gonna always land right here, so that way you are good to go, and you don't have to be worried immediately that there's gonna be someone pushed up on short. Another spot where you can use it this time if you are attacking on B, just go into this corner, place your crosshair anywhere on this line and throw there your Gravnet, and as you can see, it's gonna bounce up and land in line, since this would be a common spot for enemies to hold the push from. Another spot which you can use this lineup from would be stand right here in front of these doors, place your crosshair right where this first bar meets the top of the back wall, right there. Place there your crosshair and simply throw it. And as you can see, it's gonna land perfectly on spawn, covering all of these spots, so that way if there would be anyone trying to hold you, he cannot, since he would be in the range of this and he would have to usually fall back. The best way you can be using it when you are defending would be either to stop the pushes, simply throwing it into the choke points or a little bit in front of them, so that way you can stop the push. Or the better way would be, so that way you can combine it, for example, with raze nade. Simply you can bounce it off of the walls, tell your raze to nade this spot as well, and usually enemies would have a hard time escaping that, since they cannot really go out. One of the spots where you can throw it, and it's very simple to line up, would be to go into this corner, place your crosshair on this yellow line, as you can see, place there your crosshair and simply throw it, and it's gonna bounce up and land perfectly at these spots. That way if there's anyone in these two spots, it will get them and your teammates can either push with it or try to use it into their advantage. Also, you can stop the push even from the garden by throwing it and placing in your crosshair anywhere on these rocks right here at the top. You just want to be standing in the general area, place your crosshair here and forward and throw it, and as you can see, it's gonna bounce up off the wall right here and end up in this spot where it can stop anyone who would be pushing, so that way you can help your teammates, just so when you are rotating either from mid or from B, and if you are there early on, you can try this. However, the best way to use it would be right here in B main. You can either simply throw it off like this, or just simply bounce it off of the wall in this area. And once again, you want to be combining it either with a spam, with odor through the wall, throwing the nade here, or any other utility, for example shock darts, would work fine as well. When retaking, for example, throwing your nade right into the back hole, into the boathouse would work fine. You can always bounce it off and let it land on this default plant, so that way it would even get anyone who'd be right here, and he would be just simply stuck and wouldn't have a hard time if he wanted to pick you or just trying to re-pick anything. Now let's move on to your sonic sensor. And let me show you what are the best spots to place it. There's plenty of spots when you are defending, so I would recommend you doing it either one right here. As you can see, it's gonna cover a lot of area all the way here. You can even do one on the other side, for example, like this, on this wall, just like that. So that way, when the enemies would be already committed to the push, they would either get stun one of these two, then you can simply peek with it. Another great one that would be pretty uncommon, you can place them anywhere on these stairs. So simply, just when the enemies are coming out of the main, you can have one right here, so that way when the jett dashes into the side, she might get stunned by this. Or you can do this very simply even further, for example, like right here on these walls as well. There's plenty of options. You can even do one on short, either one already deep, for example like this, or you can have one very simply on this wall as well. Right here on mid, usually enemies would be walking, so I would not really recommend placing one right here. However, you can try to place in one at this spot where enemies would be usually not really walking already. However, you should have in mind that they would be already in a pretty dangerous position. You can also do one on this pizza box, but have in mind they can still go even around it without walking. And on B, where I think this character really shows his potential, would be placing it, for example, on the wall right here. You can place it all the way here on the stairs as well, just right there, just like that. So that way where enemies would be always committed to the push, they would always get stunned here. So I think this is one of the best ones. You can always do them on the side of the walls, or you can even do them further. And you can even use these locks to, if you want to curve them, for example, something like this. So that way it would be get an area like this. So there's always a lot of ways how you can do this. For example, even like this, as you can see, since it would get anyone in this area if they would be here. A great way to use it as well. When you are attacking and you want to be using your sonic sensors, you should have in mind that the enemies are usually, when they are flanking, they are usually walking. So it's not that great it's not that good of a tool to hold flanks, but still, you can always have one for flank, and the other one, you can keep it. You should have in mind that this doesn't have a range, so even if I place it, for example, here on B side, it's still working and giving me the info that there's someone, as you can see. So you just very simply want to have, for example, one for flank, and the other one I would say is very good to, if you are in a post-plant situation, let's say you plant it right here, you can have one of these tripwires, for example, on the spike. So that way when the enemy, if you are, this would be great if you are, for example, in 1v1 situation, the enemy would sneak to the spike, tap it, he would get immediately scanned with this tool. And he would be stunned. You can simply pick him and try to kill him, or very simply you can use this even when in a post plant. So pretty much the same tripwires as you are using here, you can use them as once again. So let's say you place one here, so when the enemies push, you can place one, for example, here when the enemies drop, or for example at a generator. There's plenty of ways how to use this. So however, I would usually just simply have one on the spike, so that way it gives you the info and stuns the player there. Even though they might break it, I think it's still worth it. Now let's move on to your barrier mesh. So with this one, you can, for example, throw this lineup when you are defending on A, stand right here, place your cursor in this general area in the middle of this line, between this yellow and this point, place your cursor there and jump and throw it. And it's gonna look like this. It's gonna land right here in the entrance and stop anyone from pushing. I would say this utility is very situational. However, there are a few lineups that might be helpful. Another one would be just simply when you are defending on site, simply always place your cursor right here and throw there your barrier. Doesn't really matter where you are standing, just you wanna be always aiming at this spot, as you can see, and it would always land in this great area. So simply use this as a point, as a reference when you are using it. Another spot where it would be very useful would be just simply blocking off shards, so simply use it right here, since it would be very difficult to get through. But always have in mind that the enemies can shoot through these walls, they just cannot walk through it. On B side, you can be using it like this, simply jump on top of this box, line yourself up with this box and hug it, and place your crosshair in the middle of this line, between those two poles on the back wall right there. So it should place it right here and simply throw it. As you can see, it's gonna land right here, so that way there's no one gonna be able to push you on the stairs. However, you should always combine it with throwing a smoke on top of it as well, so that, but you are making sure that no one pushes you, for example, behind the smoke, and you would be surprised by his aggression from here. You can be also throwing one right here, but there's no lineup for it since this utility doesn't reach that far. So that way you can very simply throw it here. Once again, throw your smoke there so no one pushes you. I would say that its strength comes from the post plants as well, since you can be throwing it, for example, into the line or into any of these spots and gain a lot of time, since as you can see, enemies will have to break either through two walls or through this one, and it's gonna cost them a lot of time. You can be also placing it like this. So let's say you plant it and you just simply place it right here, given no chance for enemies that they can defuse or get close to the spike. So they would have to break one of these, and once again, this can win you some time and they cannot defuse through the walls of this. Lastly, let's move on to your ultimate. There's plenty of ways that you can use it. You should know that there's a range limit to it, so let's say I would want to shoot here, but it doesn't reach that far, as you can see. So, and you can also bounce it off of the wall. So one of the best places to use this would be in B main. Simply bounce it off of the top of the wall right here, and as you can see, anyone in this area would be caught and it would eventually kill him. So definitely, if you hear the push, you can use this, for example. If you know that the enemy is hiding somewhere, you can shoot there as well. You can combine it or try to use it, for example, in A main. Let me show you. You can, for example, do this. Simply, you can be, for example, like in this area and anywhere right here. Or you can do even stuff like this. There's plenty of ways to use this. I would say it is very situational. For example, you can use this little lineup in heaven. Stand anywhere in this area. You want to be placing your crosshair next to this wall, and you just want to simply bounce it. That way, as you can see, anyone right here, for example, the planter, would be caught if he was there. So once again, you can line it up like this, and it will get the planter. So that way you can win yourself around if it's close on time. So one of the ways how to use it as well. So yeah, I hope this video is gonna be helpful for you guys. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and see you guys soon. Bye.